Have you ever found yourself saying yes when you really wanted to say no? Maybe it was agreeing to host a gathering when you were already exhausted, or nodding along with someone's opinion just to keep the peace, even though deep down, you didn't agree at all. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. People-pleasing is something so many of us have done for most of our lives, often without even realizing it. But here's the thing, after 60, it's time to stop. Not because you've run out of time, but because now is the time to live life on your terms. You've spent decades caring for others, raising families, working hard, keeping the peace. But what if the greatest gift you could give yourself right now is permission to stop pleasing everyone else, and start living authentically? That's what we're talking about today. Living authentically means being true to who you really are, not who others expect you to be. And that starts with letting go of the habit of people-pleasing. In this video, we're going to talk about why it's especially important for seniors to step out of that pattern, and I'll walk you through 5 simple steps to help you start living more freely, honestly, and with a lot more peace of mind. Let's begin with something we often overlook, recognizing when you're actually people-pleasing. Now, this might sound obvious, but many people-pleasers don't even realize they're doing it. It can look like being the nice one, all the time, never making waves, or always putting others first, even when it costs you your time, your energy, or your joy. You might say yes to a family request even though you're dead tired. You might avoid sharing your true opinion just to avoid conflict. Or you might stay quiet in conversations because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. It starts off small, almost invisible. But over time, that pattern chips away at who you really are. And here's the quiet truth. If you're constantly adjusting who you are just to make others comfortable, you're slowly disappearing from your own life. At this stage in life, that's just too high a price to pay. The first step, then, is becoming more aware of your own patterns. Start by paying attention to those little moments when your stomach tightens, or you feel a little resentful after agreeing to something. That inner voice, maybe it's soft, maybe you've been ignoring it for years, is trying to tell you something. It's okay to listen to it. That voice is you. And the second step? Start getting comfortable with disappointing people. I know, that sounds harsh. Most of us were raised to avoid letting others down. We were taught to be agreeable, helpful, polite. And there's nothing wrong with being kind. But kindness isn't the same thing as self-sacrifice. Being true to yourself sometimes means saying no, even if someone else frowns, or seems disappointed, or doesn't understand. Here's a secret: people can handle disappointment. And even if they can't, it's not your job to fix their feelings. You're allowed to set limits. You're allowed to say, "That doesn't work for me." And you're allowed to choose yourself without guilt. Think of it this way: every time you choose not to betray yourself just to please someone else, you're strengthening your authentic self. You're building a life that's based on what you want, what you need, and who you are. Let me share a little story. A woman I know, let's call her Judy, spent most of her life doing everything for everyone. She was the glue of the family, always cooking, organizing, smoothing over arguments. Even in retirement, she felt guilty taking a vacation because someone in the family might need her. She said yes to everything and everyone, until one day, she found herself feeling invisible. She realized she hadn't asked herself what she wanted in years. So, she tried something new. The next time someone asked her for help, on a weekend when she planned to rest, she paused. She said, "I'd love to help, but I need some time for myself this weekend." Was there pushback? Yes. But she survived it. And over time, the people around her adjusted. Some were surprised. Some even got a little upset. But most? They respected her more for it. She told me later. "It was like finally breathing after holding my breath for decades." That's the kind of freedom that's possible when you stop trying to be everything for everyone. Now, once you've started noticing your people-pleasing patterns and practicing how to set those small but powerful boundaries, you might find yourself wrestling with a bit of guilt. That's totally normal. But guilt doesn't always mean you've done something wrong. Sometimes, guilt is just a sign that you're breaking an old habit that never truly served you. If you're feeling that guilt rise up after you say no or choose your own peace, take a moment and ask yourself, did I really do something wrong, or am I just not used to putting myself first? Often, it's the latter. And if you need a little help letting go of that guilt, try this. Picture yourself as a dear friend, someone you care about deeply. If they told you they needed rest, or didn't want to go along with something they didn't believe in, Would you want them to feel bad about that? Probably not. You'd likely tell them, you deserve to listen to yourself. So why not offer yourself the same grace? You've earned it. You've spent a lifetime showing up for others. Now it's time to show up for you. Not in a selfish way, but in a self-honoring way. Living authentically doesn't mean shutting people out. It means inviting them to meet the real you, not just the version of you that says yes all the time. And yes, it takes practice. But it gets easier. Each time you choose yourself, you get a little stronger, a little freer, a little more alive. Now that we've opened the door to recognizing people-pleasing, and why it's okay to let go of the need to please everyone around you, let's keep going. Because when you take those first brave steps, the real journey to authenticity truly begins. And here's something beautiful that happens when you start letting go of people-pleasing. You begin to hear your own voice more clearly. It might have been quiet for a long time, maybe even buried under years of shoulds and have tos. But as you make space for it, your inner voice starts to return. That voice knows what you need. It knows what brings you joy, what makes you feel safe, what excites you. You just have to trust it. That brings us to the next step, reconnecting with your own values. You see, when you've spent a long time shaping your choices around what others expect, it's easy to lose track of what truly matters to you. Your decisions might have become automatic. Doing what others want, keeping the peace, or avoiding conflict without asking, is this what I really believe? Is this how I want to spend my time? So let me ask you, what are your values now? Not the ones you were taught in childhood. Not the ones you adopted to survive a demanding job or raise a family. But your values today, after everything you've learned, all you've experienced, and the wisdom you've earned. Maybe one of your values now is peace, or health, or freedom. Maybe it's creativity, or meaningful conversations, or simply being able to spend your time in ways that feel good to you. Whatever they are, take some time to write them down, even just a few. Reconnecting with what matters to you gives you a compass. It makes it easier to say no when something pulls you away from your truth, and easier to say yes to the things that feed your soul. And let's be honest, after 60, time becomes even more precious. Not in a fearful way, but in a focused way. This chapter of life is about clarity. It's about choosing what aligns with who you really are. And that clarity? It begins with knowing your values and letting them guide you, not guilt, not fear, and certainly not obligation. Now, once you're tuned into your values, there's something else you'll need along the way: confidence in your right to be who you are, even if that ruffles some feathers. Confidence doesn't have to mean standing tall and shouting from the rooftops. It can be quiet. It can look like calmly saying, "No, thank you," or expressing your honest opinion, even if someone disagrees, or deciding not to attend a gathering because you're honoring your own energy. One man I spoke with, his name was Leonard, told me he used to attend every community event, every family dinner, every birthday party, even when he didn't feel up to it. Not because he wanted to, but because he felt he should. Then one day, he simply said, "I'm tired of showing up halfway. If I can't be there fully, I'd rather not be there at all." It wasn't easy at first. People questioned him. Some even took it personally. But he stayed true to himself. And something surprising happened. He started enjoying the events. He did go to a lot more. Because he was going by choice, not pressure. And the people around him began to accept the real him, not the version of him that was constantly performing politeness. That's the magic of authenticity. It may take time, but eventually it attracts the people and situations that are aligned with who you truly are. You might be wondering, what if I've spent most of my life people-pleasing? Is it too late to change? Absolutely not. In fact, this is the perfect time. Because with age comes insight. You don't need to justify yourself the way you once did. You don't need permission to be yourself. And you certainly don't need to shrink so others can feel comfortable. You've already proven yourself. You've lived, you've loved, you've struggled, and you've grown. Now is the time to rest into who you are without apology. But that doesn't mean change happens overnight. This journey isn't about flipping a switch. It's about small, brave choices, moment by moment. Each time you act from your values instead of your fear of what others might think, you strengthen your inner self. You reclaim a little more of your energy, your peace, and your power. You may also notice that as you grow more authentic, some relationships shift. That's natural. Some people will celebrate the real you. Others might resist the change, especially if they've grown used to the people-pleasing version of you. That can be hard. But it's also a sign that you're evolving. You don't have to lose your kindness to gain your authenticity. The two aren't opposites. You can still love deeply, give generously, and be there for others, just not at the expense of yourself. One small practice that can help is taking a pause before responding. When someone asks you for something, instead of saying yes automatically pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this what I want right now? Does this feel aligned with my values? Or am I agreeing out of guilt or habit? That pause gives you space to respond, not just react. It gives you time to choose you. You don't need to rush. This process is gentle. You can start with the tiniest boundaries and build from there. Maybe it's turning down a phone call when you're tired. Maybe it's not explaining yourself when you choose to do something different. Maybe it's simply being honest about how you feel, without worrying if it'll ruffle feathers. These little acts of truthfulness, they build a life that feels real. And living authentically isn't just about what you say no to. It's also about what you start saying yes to. That's the part many people don't talk about. When you stop pouring your energy into keeping everyone else happy, you suddenly have more of it for yourself. More energy to explore your creativity, to rest without guilt, to try new things, to say yes to experiences that light you up. Maybe that's taking up watercolor painting. Maybe it's joining a book club where you finally speak up with your real opinions. Maybe it's gardening, walking in the mornings without your phone, or even sitting quietly on your porch and just being. You don't have to earn that peace, it's already yours. When you begin living authentically, you don't just feel lighter, you feel alive. More connected to the moment. More grounded in yourself. And that kind of inner peace? It can't be bought or faked. It comes from honoring who you really are, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. And so, as we continue on this journey together, I want you to hold on to this. You are not here to meet everyone's expectations. You are here to live truthfully, peacefully, and boldly, as the real you. Let's keep going, because there's still more to explore on this path to freedom. As you begin to reclaim your time and energy, something else starts to shift. You begin to trust yourself more. That's a quiet but powerful transformation. You start making decisions based on your own inner wisdom, rather than looking outward for approval. And at this stage in life, that kind of self-trust is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. So here we are, standing in this new space of awareness. You've started noticing your people-pleasing habits, you've practiced setting boundaries, you've connected with your values, and you've begun to build confidence in your right to be fully, unapologetically you. And now, we reach something just as important, maybe even the heart of it all, giving yourself permission to let go of who you used to be. Letting go doesn't mean abandoning your past. It means honoring how far you've come, and choosing not to be stuck in roles that no longer serve you. For many of us, especially in our 60s and beyond, the roles we played in earlier chapters, parent, caretaker, employee, provider, peacemaker, have shaped us deeply. Those roles often required us to put others first. And for a time, that made sense. It was necessary. It was generous. But sometimes, long after the role has ended, we're still clinging to the identity that came with it. You might still feel the urge to fix things for your adult children, or to hold your tongue at family dinners, or to play the easygoing one in your friend group, just to keep things smooth. But if you're feeling a tug inside, if your inner self is saying, I don't want to do that anymore, you are allowed to listen. You're allowed to evolve. You don't have to stay the same just because others expect you to. This stage of life is not the closing act, it's a powerful new chapter. One where you get to ask, who am I now? What do I want? Who do I want to become? And here's something no one tells you. When you live authentically, even small choices feel meaningful. Saying, I don't like that movie, when everyone else does. Choosing not to respond right away when someone demands your attention. Declining an invitation just because you'd rather stay in. These may seem like little things, but they add up to a life that feels honest and deeply yours. And when you live from that place, free from constant approval seeking, you stop second-guessing yourself. You stop wondering if you're doing enough. Because you know that being you is enough. A woman named Dolores once told me that her greatest fear about changing how she interacted with others was this. If I stop being the one who says yes all the time, what if no one wants me around anymore? That fear is real. But what Dolores learned And what I hope you'll take to heart is this: the people who truly love you will adapt to the real you. And those who don't, it's okay to let them go. Not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. This doesn't mean cutting people off or becoming cold. It just means choosing honesty over harmony when the two don't match. It means valuing your peace more than someone else's temporary approval. And sometimes, authenticity will surprise you. When you stop saying what others want to hear, you may actually find deeper, richer conversations. When you stop overextending yourself, others might begin to respect your time more. When you show up as your whole self, you may find that your relationships become more real and more fulfilling. Because the truth is, people can sense when you're being genuine. It creates trust. It invites others to be honest, too. Your authenticity gives others permission to do the same. And that can create connections that feel more meaningful than anything surface level ever could. So as we begin to close this conversation, I want to leave you with a simple truth that bears repeating. You do not need to earn your right to rest. You do not need to justify your choices. You do not need to make yourself small to fit into spaces that don't see the fullness of who you are. You have permission to say no. You have permission to change your mind. You have permission to protect your time. You have permission to be you. And not just permission, but encouragement. Because living authentically doesn't just serve you, it also ripples outward. It sets an example for your children, your grandchildren, your friends. It says, it's okay to be real. It's okay to grow. It's okay to choose peace. So if you've been waiting for a sign to stop people pleasing and start living more truthfully, this is it. You've already done the hard part. You've shown up. You've reflected. You've grown. Now it's about choosing, again and again, to honor your truth in the small ways every day. And if you're still feeling unsure, that's okay too. Start small. Choose one moment today where you listen to yourself first. That's all it takes to begin. Before we go, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever struggled with people-pleasing? What's one way you've started to live more authentically? Share your experience in the comments. I read everyone, and I know others in our community will benefit from your story. And if this video spoke to you, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. We're building a space here where honesty, growth, and self-care are always welcome, no matter your age. Because life doesn't stop after 60. In fact, for many of us, that's when it really begins. And you deserve to live it fully, freely, and as yourself. Here's to living your best life, authentically, joyfully, and on your terms.